Guys, what's up? We're here today, myself and my illustrious cohort, Dickie.
Dickie.
You may remember Tech Priest Dickie from his avatar, but here he is in his real life handsome beauty.
Yeah, it feels real weird.
Does it? Do you feel like you're naked?
Yeah, I got no clothes on right now. It's totally dick in the wind.
You can literally see your clothes. You can't. Those jokes don't work as well when we can see your face, Dickie.
It's true, actually. Yeah.
Anyway, so you may wonder. I mean, I'm sure you clicked on the video. This didn't just appear randomly, but we're here today to do a review of the new Tyranids Codex that was provided to us by Games Workshop. Dickie, how excited are you about this new book?
Oh, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah?
I've been really into bugs. I've never really did an army, so this will be my first NIDS army that I've ever done before. I have models, but I've never painted them or anything, so I'm super excited to see all this new stuff.
Me too. I've been working on the new Pyrovore, and that model is fantastic. I'm really excited to get him finished and paint up 8 more of his friends.
Because you got to go big, right? You got to get more.
I can't do nothing at all. So we're going to be reviewing the new Tyranid Codex. We're going to be reviewing. We're going to be looking at some stuff here. So yeah, let's get started here. Let's bang this out. So we've got our Grim After Dark hottest takes Codex Tyranid review.
Just call us Auspecs with talent and voice
poise,
modulation,
with grandeur,
and
non-AI generated voices.
Yeah.
Probably. So this is just kind of a roadmap of where we're going to go today. So we're going to talk about the new Codex layout. We're going to talk about each of the new detachments. There's 5 new detachments in this book. Some of the changes to points, changes to existing data sheets, as well as new data sheets. And then some overall impressions along with some sample lists that Dickie and I banged out to talk about. So let's just get started. Let's talk about this new Codex layout. So we haven't seen this kind of Codex before, and i.e. 10th edition Codex. But it's very different than the codexes that have come before it. They have changed the data sheet layout. And we'd love to show you like these changes, but we're actually not allowed to show you the pictures from the Codex, which is fair. It makes it harder for this stuff to get leaked, and we can point it back to people. So that's good. But basically all the data sheets in here are single-sided. So that means all the options for all the units are on the first page. The invulnerable save is kind of in the same place that it was for the combat patrol, so it's right underneath the regular save, which is great.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, real excited. And also all the options like units that a leader can join and stuff like that, all on the front page. So I think that's a way better way to go. And it really kind of consolidates information. You don't have to flip back and forth on cards all the time. So that's good.
And Crusade is at the end of the book.
Yeah, right? Crusade is at the end of the book. And they also have the rules for the combat patrol in there as well.
Nice.
In the Codex. So you can see that if you're interested. And that's just basically more or less the starter box that you saw or the combat patrol that comes in the new starter box. So it's like the Psychophage, the Von Ryan Sleepers, all the new stuff basically.
Awesome.
But yeah, I really like the new Codex layout. There's tons of great artwork in here, just like you would expect. Along with some classics that return, which you love to see. What did you think of the layout, Dickie?
I really liked it. It was actually with the, I believe it's kind of fluff, and then it goes through the detachments, and then it goes through data sheets. I think it's really awesome. You pick your detachment, especially with the new way to build army list these days. It's just plug and play. Let's rock and roll and play a game. So yeah, I really like it.
It's pretty cool. So speaking of that, let's just bang these out. Let's go to the new detachments. So the one that everyone's excited about, right?
Yeah. Speaking about banging. Yeah.
This is what I hear the most from people, like, oh, what does it do? I just want to take a bunch of monsters. This thing is cool. But Games Workshop previewed it the other day. What the detachment rule is. So the +1 to hit for monster models below starting strength, and +1 to wound if below half strength.
Yep.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
One thing to remember is that, like, where most detachment rules are going to affect most of the units in your detachments, the detachment rules for these specialty ones are only really going to focus on what the detachment is about. Now, they may give you some overarching abilities to your army,
Yep.
but it's going to be really narrowly focused on a particular unit type. So, Crusher is monster.
Yep. I like it.
Yep.
Let me help you out with the stratagems.
Okay.
So the first one that we're going to highlight here is called Rampaging Monstrosity. It's 1 CP. In the fight phase, you pick a monster model. They get to reroll hits this turn. Wow, that's
Hype.
pretty good.
Yeah, with most monsters being ballistic skill or weapon skill 3,
Yeah.
like getting full rerolls to hit. If they're hurt though, hitting on 2s is pretty nice, but this is for your unwounded monsters to really maximize their
Yeah.
damage. Or if they just have an absolute insane number of attacks, like a Haru Specs or a Moloch or something like that, I can see
Or
this being
a
pretty cool.
Trigon are really
Yeah,
good
sure.
these
Oh yeah,
days.
Trigon.
Yeah.
Trigon's a great example of this.
Yeah.
For sure.
Very cool.
And so yeah, so we're just going to go over one of the 6 stratagems. The one that I wrote that I thought was kind of the most interesting. Maybe not the necessarily the best one. Actually, usually it's the best one, I would say, out of this. But then we're going to also choose one of the 4 enhancements, because each of these detachments gets 6 unique stratagems.
Nice.
So they're not duplicated. Like Space Marines, you would expect to see Armor of Contempt, like in every one of their thing.
Mhm.
Not true in Tyranids. Tyranids don't have. They're too adaptable.
Hmm. Very nice. I have a shot for a stratagem that I really liked in
Oh
this
yeah, go for it,
one.
dude.
It's a 1 CP, and I believe you can walk through or move through enemy models.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, not getting blocked in your deployment zone. Pretty nice for monsters,
Yeah, and I think it has
especially.
something. Yeah, I think it has something to do with no desperate. You don't have to take a desperate breakout or anything as well at the end.
Cool.
So super awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Enhancements. We've got enraged reserves for 20 points, and it gives your monster fight on death on a 3+. Pretty good for a guy, a character model that you know you're going to be throwing into the middle of the enemy. What do you think this goes on the best?
Fight on death. I don't know. Like I would imagine a hive tyrant would be pretty good with
I was
the
thinking a
fight on.
flying high tyrant would be my.
Yeah. Or flyrant, as they call them.
Yeah, as a flyrant, as the kids call him these days. Since 5th edition.
So, I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but how does this detachment play?
Yeah, I think you take a bunch of big stompy monsters and you crush your opponent. Now, remember this +1 to hit, +1 to wound isn't locked into melee.
Oh,
Um, so it's pretty cool on stuff that shoots too.
hmm,
Um, so like maybe Tyrannofexes I can see being pretty good, Exocrines being pretty good.
actually, you're right. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah.
That like all of a sudden your shooting nids have a new lease on life, right?
Yeah, yeah, +1 to hit on a monster is pretty rad. And then even if they're hurt, they're never going to be hitting on a worse value than their actual ballistic skill, which is pretty nice.
Really cool.
So, yeah, pretty good.
Very exciting.
Yeah,
So,
let's talk about Unending Swarm. So the Unending Swarm is kind of this one has the special rule, insurmountable odds. Each time an enemy unit has finished making its attacks, if you kill one or more models from any endless swarm units, they can make surge moves,
hmm,
which are D6-inch movements, which can be into engagement. So this is real similar to like berserkers and world eaters getting to move after you shoot them. Um,
ooh, that's really good, actually, right? Because you're gonna have a ton of unending swarm in the unending swarm
right.
detachment.
Because yeah, the endless multitude units are the ones that are going to be the. I think I wrote both endless swarm and endless multitude in here. It's endless multitude. It's just the same as it was before.
So
Um,
endless.
but yeah, I think Hormagaunts are an amazing choice for this, just for this reason, because they can move 10 and advance. They can go real. They can go real far.
Yeah,
Or gargoyles can really push it and kind of get stuff locked into melee, which
yeah,
is definitely pretty nice.
that's super awesome. Yeah, very cool.
Uh,
Stratagems of note. So we did endless waves for 2
mhm.
CP, one endless multitude unit. that was destroyed goes into strategic reserve instead. Wow, so it just comes back like Gene Stealer Cult.
Yeah, a full 10 bug unit or a full 20 bug unit
Yeah,
a lot of times for 2 command points, pretty good.
pretty good.
Um, I don't think you can target this with the Hive Tyrant strat or Hive Tyrant ability to make it free, which would be
Oh,
really nice. Um, so I think you want to try and maximize command points in here. So because you want to use this one because this is obviously a huge bang for your buck.
yeah.
Getting back 140 point unit every turn, or 120 point unit if you do Hormagaunts, or no 140 for Hormagaunts, 120 for Termagants.
Wow,
But yeah,
recycling giant units is just it just feels really good.
uh,
And
it
wow.
would look so cool on the table, like 6 units
Yeah.
of 20 Termagants, 6 units of 20 Hormagaunts.
Oof.
Like,
Yeah,
good luck.
that's terrifying.
And then the enhancement of note here,
Yep.
we have Relentless Hunger. So this gives the Bears unit an additional 2 inches of movement. It's kind of like the Orcs one, like Here We Go, I think is what it is, or something.
Yeah.
That gives plus 2 inches of movement to a squad. So making your gargoyles go like 14 inches if you put a Tyranid Prime in there,
Okay.
is pretty cool. That's pretty quick. Or Tyranid Warriors, with
Yeah.
a prime in it would also be pretty decent. That'd make them real fast. But the issue here, and I think this is kind of like a seminal issue with Tyranids in this edition, is
Mhm,
that there aren't a ton of characters that can join units,
mhm.
and the units that they can join are pretty limited.
Yep.
Um, so like you won't be able to put this on Hormagaunts or Termagants, unfortunately. Um, you can basically do this to or Tyrant Guard,
Mhm.
right? So you can make them faster, which is cool.
Yeah, they're pretty slow.
They are pretty slow.
Yeah.
um, and then you can do it to gargoyles because they can have a warrior prime, or warriors because they can obviously have the warrior
Yeah,
prime.
they can put their prime in there too. That's
I
pretty
think
good.
that's it, unless you just want to give like a fast character extra movement. So like a Flyrant, you could make him a little faster, which may not be terrible.
That's not bad.
Um, but yeah, it's a really cool enhancement. There's a bunch of cool unit influencing enhancements in this
Mhm.
particular detachment. So
S
it's all about the units.
Yeah, I think, we kinda answered the question, how does this play? This truly just plays with carpet of gaunts,
Yeah,
and, I'm gonna hold all the objectives, and when you kill me, I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna do it again. So, yeah.
exactly.
Hmm, very cool.
Which is kind of a cool play style. I love recursion, so I'm real into that. Although this next one is maybe even more recursiony.
Ooh, Assimilation Swarm.
So I did get to Dickie and I got to play a game
Yes, we do.
with the Assimilation Swarm. I played against his Thousand Sons, and he utterly reamed me. But I don't think it's necessarily the fault of the list. It's me being not a great player, and then also like unfamiliarity with some of my tricks and stuff like that. I think I could have
Yeah.
played it a lot better, and taken better units probably.
But we
But
learned a lot from that game, to be
oh,
honest.
so
Yeah.
much. Um, Simulation Swarm has this rule. It's called Feed the Swarm.
Yep.
In your command phase, each harvester unit in your army, in range of an objective you control, can regenerate a Tyranid unit within 6 inches.
Yep.
Regeneration is you heal a model D3 wounds,
Mhm.
or you can bring back one destroyed infantry model, not characters.
Mm.
And if it's an endless
Multitudes.
multitude unit, you get to bring back 3 models instead of 1.
Wow. So it's a really good res mechanic.
It's sort of like Necrons,
Yeah.
um, like Living Metal, or Reanimation Protocols. I think I forgot what it's called. Anyway, so so it's very conditional though. So keep in mind the swarm unit has to be on an objective that you control,
Yeah, the harvester unit. Yeah.
or not a harvester unit.
Yeah, yeah.
And so these harvester units, there are 4 different harvester units in the book: pyrovores,
Mhm.
haruspexes, rippers, and psychophages.
Okay.
All those are and a lot of those are really great units.
Yep.
In fact, all of them are pretty good, generally speaking, I think. But it makes it a little conditional. Um, which is fine because otherwise I think it would be it might be too powerful just to keep bringing back like a bunch of 3 moon models and that kind of stuff
Yeah.
like every single turn. Um, I don't know.
Hmm.
So what are your thoughts on that ability, Dickie?
So I did in reading through the codex, I did see that there's two ways. So basically, you can do two separate raises on the same unit, or that's what it seemed like. And I wonder if the tyrant is able to do the third one, which would be fantastic.
Mhm.
Um, in that case, I think it's pretty good. Something that I don't know if people know yet, but pyrovores are infantry now.
Yeah.
So you can bring back pyrovores, which, by the way, was super annoying in our game.
Yeah,
And
Pyrovores did get a little bit of a stat boost, so
yeah,
that definitely helps.
yeah. So the flamers are really good. The
Yep.
them being infantry, being able to walk through walls is unbelievably good. It was something that I wasn't ready for, so I'm sure it's going to catch a lot of people out. So I think it's a really cool concept. I have a couple ideas on how to play it. I was thinking about a big unit of Tyrant Guard, being able to
Mhm.
res those guys. I thought would be really cool. Yeah, I don't know, but let's take a look at the stratagem that you
Yeah,
picked.
strats are cool. Um, there's a couple of good ones in here, so it's hard for me to pick one that I really liked.
Hmm.
Because I think this actually has some of the better stratagems of the different detachments. So the one that I highlighted here is on secure biomass. One command point, one Tyranid unit that hasn't fought can use it to get lethal hits.
Hmm.
So whatever Tyranid unit in your army, you can just give them lethal hits, which is great. If it's a harvester unit, then they critical hit on a 5+, which means they auto wound on a 5+ to hit. So this is great on something like a Hardy Specs,
Hmm.
where you're getting like 18 attacks or something like that. So getting to auto wound
Yeah.
with that many attacks is great. Especially it's good against like big targets like vehicles or a big monster.
Hmm.
Um, Great for that stuff because you really want to bypass toughness. So yeah, I think that one's really good, especially since they're probably the best fighting harvester unit, I would say.
Hmm.
But this plays into a lot of units that just get a lot of attacks. They're great for that. Hormagaunts,
Hmm.
it's really good for them because you can get like a billion Hormagon attacks.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, yeah, that's a great one. There's another one where if you destroy a harvester unit,
Yeah. Reclaim
the unit that
biomass.
destroyed them, you can spend a command point and your whole army gets +1 to wound against them for the rest of the game.
Yeah, like, so good.
That's very good.
Yeah, there's a lot I'm actually going through them right now, like, there's a lot of, like, there's another res, capability in there,
Mhm.
there's,
Yep.
da, 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 da
There's 2 different res ones in there,
yeah,
actually,
there's I was just gonna say, so there's, in your fight phase, there's a res as well, so you can res right in the fight phase, which is pretty cool.
which is
So
great.
so good. So, yeah. Enhancements. You chose parasitic biomorphormity. Was it
Morphology.
morphology? Ah.
Dude,
So
these they're very
the spell
scientific.
check on this was
Yeah.
not like in these words, by the way. Um, so you add a unit, you add to the unit strength characteristic of melee weapons in the bearer's unit once after that unit has been killed. So wait, you can just keep on adding +1 to
No, it's just
oh,
+1, and then once after destroying an enemy add +1 to the strength characteristic of melee weapons in the bearer's unit. And then after destroying an enemy unit within 6 inches of a harvester unit, you also get +1 attack.
but that doesn't stack. It's just that's what you get.
That's what you get for it's
Okay.
just once. Yeah.
But when you look at Tyrant Guard, or
Yeah.
the Tyrant Guard have like a piddly amount of attacks, but adding this to that list, that would be pretty good actually.
It definitely helps. And
Interesting.
then +1 strength is great on a bunch of different stuff too.
Everything. Yeah.
And you could take this on it, like specifically with that hive tyrant. He's good in that too because you give him +1 strength,
Yeah.
which takes his bone sword and lash whip combo to strength 10,
Mhm.
um,
That's nice.
which is real nice.
It's really nice.
That's a good breakpoint value. Yeah, there's a couple of them here that are fantastic. I took the one in our game, Dickie,
Mhm.
where you got I took it on a parasite. You can it gives him a 12-inch aura where any harvester units within that 12-inch aura get a 9-inch heal instead of a 6-inch heal,
Oh, that's super good to stretch
which
that out.
was
Yeah.
really clutch a couple of times.
Yeah,
So
so just, I guess Dickie's enhancement choice is, regenerating monstrosity, so it actually lets you heal twice per heal phase. So there's almost too many good enhancements in this one. Like, I want
there's
them
some good
all.
ones for sure, yeah.
That's so cool.
So
How
this
did
one kind of acts as a recursion army a little bit, but I think
Yeah,
you want more medium-sized bugs in this list,
yep,
along with your but I mean 3 endless multitude can really help you to get some clutch charges with smaller units. Although a free 40 millimeter base, or in the case of pyrovores, an 80 millimeter base, can really put you in some weird positions and kind of let you control the board a little bit better that way. So pretty cool with that stuff.
interesting.
I really like this this detachment. It's
Nice.
not my favorite detachment,
Mm,
but I would say that it's like, I think Dickie and I think we have both have the same favorite
I think we
detachment, right?
both have the same
Yeah,
favorite, yeah.
probably.
Which may be next.
Um,
Mm.
yeah. Speaking of which,
Yeah,
here it
Vanguard.
is. Yeah, this is our favorite one. I think this one's the coolest one. I've always loved the Vanguard organisms. They were like lictors are like the coolest models in the game to me. So, or
Yeah.
some of the coolest models in the game. So I'm real excited to play this list.
Okay, so what does it do? So it actually does two things. So Death Leaper can actually become your warlord in this detachment. You can't obviously get enhancements or anything, but if
Right.
you wanted your Death Leaper to be your warlord, you can. No big deal. Questing Tendrils. Tyranid units can fall back in charge. So that's all Tyranid units can fall back in charge. And then Vanguard can obviously fall back in charge, but also advance in charge.
Well, let's talk about what is a Vanguard Invader unit.
Oh, there's a few.
There's a ton.
Okay, do you have a list? Do I have a list? Who has a
No,
list?
but I have a good rule of thumb.
Okay, go. Hit me.
All right. If it's a gene stealer,
Yeah.
so that means broodlords, gene stealers. If it has wings,
Okay.
anything with wings has Vanguard Invaders. So both the flyers, gargoyles, winged prime,
Flyrant.
the two flyers, those
Ooh,
guys.
wow.
If it if it's a pod, so the spore, what are they
Okay.
called? Yeah. Um the Tyranid drop pod. It's not mycetic spore, is it? It's anyway.
It's a spore. It's
And then if it's a lictor or wannabe lictor, so Von Ryan's Leapers, Neuro Lictors, Lictors, and the Death Leaper are all Vanguard Invader as well.
that's a lot of things.
It's a lot of units, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of your stuff's gonna have advance in charge.
Right, which is awesome. And then the fallback in charge is really great for a lot of
Yeah.
models too.
Mm,
Uh, s- the stratagem of note that I decided to pick here.
it's a good stratum.
This one is real annoying.
Yeah.
Especially since it has uh, the uh, uh, there's so many lone operatives in this list already.
Yep.
In your opponent's shooting phase, after a Vanguard Invader unit has been selected as a target, they gain lone operative. So if they choose if they already had lone operative,
Yeah.
then you can only target them with if you're within 6 inches.
Wow.
Fantastic.
So good. Uh, so all the things you noted can be loan up. So your winged hive tyrant, your
Yeah.
harpy, for some reason, you can make them loan up. What a strong ability, and something that's gonna keep going throughout the game and being super strong in the later part of the game as well. Wow,
You
it's
can
really
make your in fact, yeah, you can reactionarily make your flying tyrant lone operative for free,
right. That's
which is
pretty
great.
good.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, this is one of the strats. I think Games Workshop previewed one of the other ones that lets you put stuff back into strategic reserve.
Right,
Um,
which
good
is really
enhancements in this list too. The one that I chose here, I think is probably okay. So Games Workshop needs to probably make up their mind on this
good.
a little bit. So the Neuro Node is a 25-point enhancement. After
Yeah.
both players have deployed and determined who has the first turn, redeploy 3 units, or you can put them into strategic reserve if you want to. So before, they've specifically called out enhancement that lets you redeploy units is only letting you do it
Hmm.
if before the first turn, before you determine who's going first.
Yeah.
So like this is incredibly powerful, especially with so many infiltrating units that this army can potentially have.
Yeah.
Um, like you can start a lot of this army at the mid table and just like go if you want to.
Yeah. Uh, Super good, super awesome.
Yeah,
Being able to bait a flank or to bait a deployment in this edition is really good.
really good.
Um, so let's go into my enhancement pick
Yeah.
for the edition. So, hunting grounds was mine. What
Okay.
this does is when you set something up and it's just specifies the table, when you bring something in through reserves on a 2 plus, that unit has to take a battle shock test.
Nice. That's real annoying, especially if they're trying to put it on an objective or
Right.
yeah.
Or if they need to use a super stratagem when they come through reserve and throw
Yep.
those, bombs that they need stratagems to make even better. What if you're battle shocked? Suck a
What if you just don't get to do that
What if you
instead?
don't get to do that? So that's my pick. But there are some really great ones here.
There's some
There's a
good ones too.
stealth. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
stealth mechanic. So yeah.
Yeah, Chameleonic is awesome. It gives the bearer and its unit stealth and cover. So it's either good on a flying prime with gargoyles, right?
Yep.
Like the whole squad getting cover and -1 to hit,
Mhm.
or um, my list has it on a Flyrant, which is
Oh,
like really annoying.
that's really annoying, actually. Mm. Yeah,
So
I'm in love
uh,
with this detachment.
this list is very aggressive,
Yeah,
right? I think that's how it plays. It's going to be in your face. It's going to be tricky. Um, I think it's not going to have as much shooting as some of the other lists,
yeah.
but it's gonna be real good.
Yeah, some important things that I was thinking about is warriors, so they don't have the Vanguard keyword.
Mhm.
Good news, you can add that Tyranid Prime in there,
Exactly.
and they get the Vanguard keyword, so you can make them loan up, you can give them advance and charge.
That's
So
like
that's pretty cool. I don't know how good warriors are, but it's definitely a cool thing. And I think the Prime just gives sustained hits just for joining the unit
yep,
as well.
he
So
does.
maybe that's a cool option.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
might be kinda cool on like, if you wanna spend the points on the melee warriors,
Hmm.
I can see that being pretty good, just, like, getting them in there and, like, sustain hitting with all their attacks and then getting rerolls to wound on their heads is dope.
I think it's awesome.
There's a couple ways to get +1 to wound it on this as well, either from neurolictors or, there's also a strat that if you're fighting a battle shocked unit, you can
Yeah.
get,
I think this is where
+1 to
the
wound.
whole battle shock mechanic comes online. I think the next detachment is where it gets really good, but I think
Yeah.
starting to make things battle shock, and Death Leaper of course has a -1 or worsen leadership by 1 when you're near him.
Yep.
So being able to battle shock things makes life a lot easier in in the stratagems and in how you play this
I
detachment.
I keep trying to decide if I wanna put a Neuro Tyrant in this list, like
Mm,
because I think that he could be good. He's good with the Neuro node because you don't have to take another character.
yeah,
Um, and that once it's done, it's done. But then just getting to shadows and making things at -2 for battle shock
yeah.
effectively is pretty cool.
Mm, I think he's not too expensive, so yeah.
No, yeah, he did get a points decrease, which we'll talk about too.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about I think my second favorite
Yeah, I mean,
detachment. I
like
think
I
it's
would say that this is my third favorite, but
yeah.
probably the most powerful of
Yeah,
the
I
different
think this is
attachments.
gonna be what all the John Lennons and McDougalls play in the world is this guy here.
Yeah, the synaptic nexus is pretty interesting. So, at the start of the battle round, you can pick one of these imperatives. Can only be selected once per game. Each one can only be selected once per game. So think of like Space Marine doctrines. So this affects units in synapse range. So it can either be everybody within synapse range gets a 5+ invul.
Mhm.
Everybody in synapse gets +1 to advance and charge, or within synapse melee attacks get +1 to hit.
Yep.
All these are really good abilities, right? Um, There's also, a strat, to replay these. So 1 command point to replay this at any time, even if you've already used it.
Wow.
So getting to kind of like toss those abilities around, pretty cool.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'm definitely excited about that. What do you think of this ability, Dickie?
I think it feels very invasion fleet, being able to kind of choose your own adventure with regards to buffs, which is really, I mean, it's really good. Like, turns out +1 to hit within Synapse is really good. So
Yeah.
I'm sure we're gonna see that.
Especially
Zoe,
on the go turn. Like, or
yeah.
+1 to advance and charge, especially if you can already advance. I don't Is there anything in the book that does get advance and charge? I can't. Hormagaunts.
Hormagaunts, yeah. That's pretty
But yeah,
good.
very good.
Um, yeah. Okay, so stratagems. There's a lot here.
6, but yes.
There's a lot, which are
There's
6.
a lot to do.
But which one did you call out here?
I picked I thought this one was important. It's reinforced hive node. It's
Yeah.
basically armor of contempt. Which with an army of a bunch of 2+ save monsters is potentially really good.
Yeah.
Um, especially on like a swarm lord, or because I'm definitely taking the swarm lord in this one here. The extra command point is great. I want to be swimming in command points because I think that there's a bunch of stratagems here that are good. Like I want to be able to do a synaptic imperative every turn.
Mhm.
So getting an extra command point with the swarm lord, plus he's a hitter,
Yep.
is definitely real nice.
Yeah. My kind of thought, and something that it's been really interesting because this is very much battle shock central, is this detachment. It's going to be forcing a lot of battle shocks. So
Hmm.
smothering shadows for 1 CP. Basically, when someone fails a battle shock within 12 of 1 synapse unit, you roll 66 on, or for, yeah, 66, and for each 3+ that unit takes a mortal wound.
Not bad. Probably an average of like 4 mortal wounds for a failed battle shock test. Like to add insult into injury is
Yeah.
great.
And if you're a tyrant, can you do it again? Probably.
True.
So super,
Yeah.
super cool thought process there. And Zoe's kind of have that same built-in ability within 6 inches. So could get real dicey if you feel a lot of battle shocks around these guys.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mhm.
Zoanthropes also do some mortal wounds to you if you fail battle shocks close to them,
That's right. Yeah.
which is nice. And you're going to see Zoanthropes in this list 100%.
I think you're gonna
As you'll
see
see in
Zoe's.
the roster that I made.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see Zoe's in a lot of lists because they're
Yeah,
still really good. But
they're very
for
good.
sure in this detachment, you're gonna see them for sure. Let's talk enhancements, my friend. What do you
Oh,
got going on?
Synaptic control, 20 points, -1 damage. It's so good. Either on a fly rent, or I have this well, we'll talk about my list in a bit, but I like it on the foot tyrant too.
Yeah.
Um, keep in mind the amount of monsters that you can give this to is pretty limited. This would also be great on a Turvagon, um, if you were inclined to take one of those, which I think are fine. Especially if you're taking a decent amount of Termagants.
Mm,
That actually might be a good way to run this too, just to help with your objective control. And everybody getting a 5+ invul save on a bunch of Termagants is like real freaking annoying.
it's really annoying.
Yeah.
I have a pick here.
Okay.
Psychostatic Disruption.
Okay.
It's a 12-inch no deep strike aura, which is good all the time.
Oh yeah.
And also, when a unit wants to come in from deep strike in turn 1 and turn 2, on a 4+, you pick that unit, and on a 4+, it doesn't come in that turn.
That's sick, dude. I do like that one too.
Super cool. No,
Oh,
hey,
you
you know
thought
what?
you were
No,
coming in because you needed
nah,
these guys. Nah, I'm good. I don't want those
you
guys
can
in
come
yet.
in next turn. That's so good. Oh man. Uh,
So
how does this thing play?
I think this is okay. So Invasion Swarm is the other, like the baseline Tyranid detachment, which is also great. Getting to pick like sustained hits or lethal hits or whatever, depending on like what's the majority of enemies that you have,
Mhm.
is really nice. But this lets you have a little bit more powerful effects as you need them, which I think is really good. So I think this is going to be kind of a combined arms Tyranid army most of the time. So you're going to have some melee, you're going to have some shooting, you're going to have some some board control. I think that's how this list. Oh, they have a strat in here for fallback and shoot. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but that's really
Pyrovores are
good.
so happy about this.
Yeah. Oh, Biovars.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
Synaptic Nexus, really a great detachment. I don't know. What do you think, Dickie? Do you think I have this wrong?
No, I think you got it right. I think it's all about pushing up, forcing battle shocks, and Zoe's doing work is probably what
Yeah,
it feels like. So
yeah.
yeah. Ah, cool.
I agree with all of that. Um, okay. We talked about the different detachments. Let's talk about some changes to existing data sheets. There's a bunch of them, and like I know that we missed some. I know that we missed some.
Okay.
But here's the ones that I was able to find.
Yep.
Um, Gene Stealers don't reroll to wound rolls if you're on an objective. Oh,
Just start with
well,
the
they do reroll ones to wound if you're on an objective,
you
but
like
that's
went
only. What's that? Go ahead.
you went right for the throat. The first one, you're like, oh, by the way, they don't reroll wounds anymore. They only reroll.
But they do get to reroll ones to hit, which means they're based like honestly, they're going to hit with most of their attacks,
Yeah. Okay. All right. All
which
right.
is nice. I think I would rather have devastating wounds with full rerolls to wound,
I mean,
but I understand from a balance perspective, I guess, why they're deciding to do this instead.
okay. I guess.
I
Uh,
suppose.
the Tyranno effects, instead of -1 damage, it's one attack. You can reduce damage to 0 once per game.
Right.
Uh, so a little bit of a. I know the -1 damage is really good, but now you can make that hammerhead not hurt you for that one time. All right.
Which is pretty nice because you have a decent shot at acing it, I think, on the return volley.
All right.
So Ripper
Rippers. Yeah.
swarms are changing unit sizes. They were 3 or 6. Now it's 1, 2, or 3.
Oh.
So you can get a 15-point deep striking 40 millimeter base that you can deep strike into your opponent's deployment zone for
Mm,
like engaging all fronts, or the one where you have to be in all the corners, which is pretty dang good.
it's
So if
really
you didn't
good.
take Biovores, take a couple Ripper swarms and you can maybe score those objectives too.
Hmm. So pyrovores and byrovores are an 80 millimeter base. That's a big base, man.
It's huge.
Where do you have one on the table there that you can show people, or is it somewhere else?
Oh no, it's in
Okay.
another room.
Okay,
Sorry.
fair enough.
I have an 80 millimeter base. It's like about as big as my head.
How much bigger than the current model is it? Like how like the model size? Is it like substantially bigger or
I
is it
don't think
around?
it's substantially bigger, but it does entirely fit on the base, and it's kind of more flat. It fills an 80 millimeter base because it has such a wide stance, but
Yep.
it's not particularly tall. I would say it's no more tall than uh like probably a Tyranid warrior. I don't think it's any taller than that.
Oh, okay. All right. It looks bulkier then. It has 5 wounds and a 3-up save as well. So,
Yeah, which is nice. Going from 4 wounds and a 4-up to 5 wounds and a 3-up.
yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Um, Termagant's got weapon options.
What?
Yeah, so they got a couple of different weapon options. Some of them are really good, and some of them are maybe you don't want to take those.
What weapon are
But
you
it's
gonna take?
so you can take one of each of these weapons per 10 guys.
Okay.
It doesn't cost you anything, so maybe consider it instead if you want to take one of these instead. I don't know. I guess I might. The only one I don't like is the spike rifle. The spike rifle is 24 inches, one shot,
Mhm.
strength 4, -1 damage. It hits on a
Alright.
4 plus and it has heavy.
Okay, so
So
if
if
you
you stand
stand
still, it
still, you
hits
get
on a
to hit on
3. But
3.
like one strength 4 shot hitting on a 3, I think I'd rather have 2 shots from a devourer instead.
Yeah.
Um, and then you've got, or honestly, the spine fists are not terrible either. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Mhm.
Strangle webs are assault, devastating wounds, and torrent, and they're an
Oh,
18-inch D6 shot, strength 2 weapon with no AP and 1 damage.
that's pretty good.
I think I'm always taking these.
Yeah.
Always. Like it's too many shots, and dev wounds is great. Um, always. And then the last one they have is the shard launcher, which is 18 inches, D3 shots, BS4 plus, strength 5, no AP, 1 damage, and
Mhm.
it has blast and heavy. I think I'm always taking these two
Yeah, they
because I
look
think
really
it's most of the time just better than a Devourer, especially if you're shooting at 5 models, which is what you want to shoot at with Gaunts anyway. Feel like a lot of times. And then
good.
if you want to stand still, it hits better. That's cool. So yeah, I think that those are your choices. Otherwise, that data sheet didn't change at all. Totally a good unit, I think. And those are some fun different weapon options that they have. The
Mhm.
flamers are pretty nice. And if you take 10 guys, you can have 2 of them in your squad.
All right. Lictor's lost invul saves.
I think this is a misprint.
Okay.
To be honest. I because like the Death Leaper has one and the
Yeah.
Neurolictor has one. So
Okay.
like why would the normal Lictor not have a 5+ invul save? Like even Gene Stealers still have, they have an invul save. And
Yeah.
Lictors are supposed to be, I don't know. So it seemed kind of silly to
Maybe
me.
misprint. I think
Yeah.
it seems like it. So yeah.
And
Uh,
then the Psychophage changed from Anti-Psyker 2+ to Anti-Psyker 4+.
okay. So 2 plus
Which
dev wounds is probably really good. So
well,
yeah.
yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, balanced data slate's coming out here. We'll see if Dev Wound stays the same as it was.
Hmm.
But that definitely feels Anti-Psyker 4+ definitely feels like a nerf to him a little bit. But that's okay. I honestly I think the Psychophage is a great model.
Yeah.
He's anyway. But yeah, like I said, there's probably a bunch more that we just didn't find. But those are the ones that I found through my searching of the book. Are any that you found, Dickie, that you
Any changes? I think the Tyranofex is like the first one that I found that was
yeah.
like, oh, the -1 damage is gone. Ooh, that kind of sucks. So yeah. Yeah.
Well, we got lots of points. We got some points. We got 1 points increase and a lot of points decreases.
Is that a 65 I see? It is a 60.
Yeah. For
Holy
some reason, the Harpy
moly.
went down 65 points. But he's way overcosted as he was before.
Wow.
And he went up in points in the balance data slate. So I
Well,
don't know if he
flyer.
should
I think
be.
Flyers got beat up last edition. That's just
Did
probably
they? Okay. I thought it was maybe because he had spore mines, and spore mines are annoying.
he still
Um,
does.
Biovores are back to their original Codex point value, so I don't know if that's going to stay either. Those are kind of the two biggest ones that I saw.
Uh-huh.
We'll see if they stay at 45 points. I don't know. Barb Guns did go up 5 points, which is fine because those guys are amazing. They're still good at 55 points.
Wait,
Like,
the extra went down 10. So does that mean he's 125
yep.
points now? Ooh. That's that's a tasty
Um,
morsel. Holy moly.
the Maliceptor went down
The
for
Malice
some reason. That was also a really good model. The
Tyrant.
Parasite went down 15 points. And the
Wow.
Neurotyrant went down 10. Sporosis went down 20 points.
Sure.
Um, and then also Gargoyles went down 5 points.
Oh, wait,
And
gargoyles are so good.
Gargoyles are amazing.
Yeah.
And then the Von Ryan's Leapers also went down 5 points. I was surprised by that. I thought they were already good at 25 points a model, but now they're like 70 points for 3, and that
6
seems
attacks
great.
each. Yeah, they're pretty good. Wow.
So yeah, anyway, a lot of points changes, or a lot of little tweaks. This will let you fit in, maybe another squad in your army based on some of these points changes, I would say.
That looks really good.
And Tyranid units are pretty cheap, so you can probably maybe even more than one.
I like it.
All right, so let's go on to the new data sheets.
Oh.
So we got the Norn Emissary here. This is the big psyker guy. Of the two of them, I prefer this model. I think he's pretty cool.
I think it's maybe the 4-up invulnerable save that helps me like this more.
Yeah, for sure, right? So movement 10, toughness 11, 2-up, 4-up, 16 wounds, leadership 7, and he has OC 5.
Okay.
So fine stats. 285 points is a lot though. Especially in a world of 130 point fire prisms and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
like yeah. Anyway, but he's got a great shooting attack. He's got psychic tendrils. So there's all three of these different profiles are 18-inch range. All of them are ballistic skill 2+. That's probably the best thing I think about the Norn models is they're both weapon skill and ballistic skill 2+, which is great.
Yeah.
So he's got a 2-shot strength 8 -2 damage D3 precision psychic attack.
Okay.
A 2d6 strength 6 -2 1 damage blast attack,
Okay.
or a 2-shot strength 12 -3 d6 damage with attack with Melta 2.
It's flat 8 damage if it's in within half. Okay.
Well,
All
no, it's
right.
damage d6, so it'll
Oh,
be
okay.
it'll be
D6
like a
plus
normal
2.
melt gun, so it'll
Okay,
be
fair enough.
d6. Yeah, whatever. But it's still
So
strength
good.
12 is very nice.
Yeah.
Especially considering most melta guns are like strength 9. His melee is good. It's fine. It's fine. It's not amazing, but it's good.
It's fine.
6 attacks, weapon skill 2+, strength 9 -2, damage flat 3. And then also he's got 4 extra attacks from his little hands, his little
Ooh.
grabby hands, which are strength 7 -2, D3 damage 2. Yeah, exactly. You got
So
it.
just grabbing you. He's just grabbing
They're
you.
It's for massaging, actually.
So 10
His brain
attacks
gets
at
tired.
10 attacks at reasonable AP,
Yeah.
at reasonable strength.
And he's
Alright.
got Synapse, which is great, and Shadow in the Warp. So if you lose everybody else who has it, he can still activate it.
Mhm.
And then he has got the he's got the singular purpose rule, which Games Workshop previewed, which lets him be like feel no pain 5 up and OC 15 on an objective, or he can
Yeah.
pick an enemy unit and he gets to like reroll to hit and to wound against them. Both of those are good. I think he's going to want the set on an objective and be OC 15 one because he can actually shoot stuff and just hang out and be a menace.
Yeah.
He's also got a 4 up feel
Pains.
no pain against mortal wounds.
Wow. He's a
Which is
tanky
cool.
boy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty
Alright.
tanky.
Alright.
Then he's got his slightly less tanky but more hitty brother, the Norn Assimilator.
Assimilation. Got it.
He's a little bit more. He's a few more points. He's 20 more points. Same basic stat line. Same special rule, singular purpose. But
Mm.
he's got different shooting. So he's got no psychic. He's not synapse. He's not any of that stuff.
Yeah.
He's got 2 shots, ballistic skill 2+, strength 12, -3, damage D6 or D6 +1.
Interesting.
So, and if he hits a monster or a vehicle, he gets +2 inches to charge that model with his harpoons.
Wow.
So, which is nice. And his attacks are good. He's got the same big talent attacks, the 6 attacks at strength 9, -2, damage 3.
Mhm.
But he also has 4 attacks at strength 12, -3, damage D6 +1. So,
The harpoony hands.
yeah, those are also in melee, apparently. I don't know. Maybe they shoot venom or something. I honestly did not read the fluff on this guy because I like the other one a lot more. And then his special rule that's unique to him is called Harpoon Barbs. If you
Uh-huh.
fall back from him, roll a d6 on a 2+, take d6 mortal wounds.
Okay.
And it's once per turn. So not everybody who he assaults and falls back from
Oh,
he
I
gets
was
to hit
gonna
with
say that'd be
mortals.
really
So,
hilarious if you could
yeah.
do that to everyone. Alright. Fair enough.
But yeah, he's good.
Why do you think here's my question. When we look at points values, why do you think this guy was 305? What did it to make this guy 305 versus the 285?
It's the potentially 6 attacks that hit on 2s that are strength 12 -3, damage D6 D6 +1.
So they overweight lethality over defensive profile.
I agree with that.
Okay.
And I think that's probably generally pretty true in the game too, because
Yeah.
I don't think the defensive profiles pay quite the same dividends as more offense does.
All right. Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you.
I don't know though.
I don't know.
And the last one here, I just copied and pasted the data sheet because Games Workshop previewed it today. So the Neurolictor,
W.
guys, he's 60 points.
He's so good.
I think he's one of the best point for point models in the whole book.
And
I think.
notice his 4-up invulnerable save. Lictor.
That's right, baby.
Yeah.
He's got stealth. He's a lone operative. He's a 4-up
Infiltrator.
invul save. Like that stuff alone, like is amazing. And he
Yeah.
should probably. I was thinking like, oh yeah, he's probably like 80 or 90 points with those abilities. No, thanks. He's 60.
points. Wow.
For a 60 for a lone operative is fantastic. And then combine that with stealth and then also a 4-up invul and 7 wounds for some reason. Don't forget that.
Also, if he kills something, It doesn't specify. It just says kill character models. You get a CP, so
Yeah.
CP regen. That's always nice.
And then he
Uh,
makes somebody within 12 take a battle shock.
yeah, really good.
Yeah, and then also if you're battle shocked, stuff that is within 12 of him, um, or while an enemy unit is within 12 of him and battle shocked, your whole army, that unit is -1 to hit, and then your whole army gets +1 to wound against them.
Seems pretty good.
Yeah.
It takes some of those little piddly weapons that those gaunts are using and actually makes it winning on 4s or 3s for that instance. So that's
Right, exactly.
pretty scary. Very cool.
Or your zone throws wound on 2s. Anyway, so let's talk about so speaking of zoanthropes, I noticed you got a few in your list here. Let's talk about your
Oh,
Vanguard onslaught list that you made, Dickie.
okay. So hunting grounds, we talked about that, and Nero node, we talked about that. So go back into that. But I got a hive tyrant. His job is to sit in a place and make stratagems free. Is kind of my thought process. A winged prime in order to give his fancy dancy Vanguard keyword to somebody.
Cool.
Nero lictor because they're super awesome and we just saw them. Death leaper. That -1 to worsen your leadership is really good.
It's
A
really
li-
good.
a
And
lictor.
he's just a good like his attacks are really solid. Like he's a great model.
Yeah, and he's a very pretty model as well. A lictor, 4x10 gargoyles. Gargoyles have the Vanguard keyword. If we didn't say that, they
Yep,
have wings, like
they
you
got
went through your
wings.
things. But gargoyles are just super awesome, and being able to add a prime to them for a delivery system to give them sustained, super good. They can advance a charge, and oh, they're just so tasty. Two harpies.
What? What are you even doing?
Well, it turns out you can make them flutter, not fly. And you can actually my thought process is I can make these guys loan up.
Yeah, that's true. That'll be annoying.
And the cool thing with the harpies is they can spit out spore mines, and their venom cannons, their heavy venom cannons, are twin linked, so you can reroll wounds. So it just makes that damage punch a little more
That's
oomphy.
pretty nice.
Two biovores. Do I change that to? Do I need to? Well, not really. So biovore only gets to shoot his spore mine kind of action once now, so you can't do it for multiple biovores. So maybe just one. I don't
Oh,
know.
really? Is it just only one unit of Biovores can do it?
Yeah, the way the rule reads. It's only one unit of biovores can spit out the spore mine rather than
Oh,
shooting.
okay.
Which is probably fair because I don't know if you played NIDS in this edition, but it feels like there's spore mines everywhere.
Sure.
And this list
I
definitely,
just didn't bring any the last time I played because
yeah.
I built a bad list.
No, we were testing stuff.
There you go.
Two biovores just because I think the ability is super great, and if one dies, at least I have another one. Trigon, I love Trigons. Oh, they have 12 attacks,
Mhm.
strength 12, neg 3, 3 flat damage, and they can rapid ingress or deep strike within 3.
Yeah,
Like, oh baby, that guy's gonna chew somebody up, and I'm here for it.
that's pretty
Um,
cool.
he can only do the fallback and charge, which is probably all he needs. He doesn't need to advance a
Yeah,
charge.
but you can't lock him in that way,
Yep,
which is awesome.
yeah,
Like,
super awesome. 6 Von Ryan sleepers and 6 Zoes.
yeah,
Um, if you didn't know, the Hive Tyrant can actually hand out assault to units. So my
mhm,
thought process there is Hive Tyrant can give the Zoes assault when they need to move up and engage with things because they
right.
only they float very slowly 5 inches. So
It's true.
being able to move a little quicker and get their damage where it needs to be is probably really good. So yeah,
And the nice thing here is you can combine the zoanthropes with the exocrine to get reroll ones to hit on the zoanthropes too, which is pretty nice.
yep.
And zoanthropes do work against a variety of different kinds
Oh
of
wow,
units.
they hit
Yeah,
real well. So
yeah.
yeah, this is kind of my first take of the list. I haven't played it yet. I'm hoping to play it in the next week or so.
Nice.
But it looks a lot of fun, and it definitely has board control. And there's going
For
to be a
sure.
lot of spore mines everywhere. Spore mines can still do actions. I know that we haven't said that yet, but they
Yeah.
haven't. In reading in the book, that it looks like they can still do actions. But
There's nothing that prohibits that from
no,
happening, so
unless it's in this next balance status 8 that we're going to be seeing in the next couple of weeks. So
which is
uh,
possible.
could happen. So yeah, that's the list, man. What do you think?
I think it's pretty good. I think you've got a bunch of different units here. It's got some decent board control with the amount of gargoyles that you have,
Mhm.
which I think is really important for Tyranids because I think Tyranids really play the mission well, and so um, you want some models that have some decent OC to hang out on objectives to avoid them getting stolen from you by stuff that's weaker than them, like rhinos or something stupid. So
Yeah.
um, you really got to watch out for that stuff. And I think you've got a lot of tools here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see how this works,
Yeah, me too. Hopefully
especially
it
the
works.
harpies.
Yeah, I really think the harpies are like a niche pick, but I don't know. Maybe it could work. I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, you never
And that
know.
gives you some access to some more spore mines for sure too, which is
Yeah,
nice.
the spore mines are that was kind of the thought process because there's a lot of times there's objectives in the middle of the table. So being able to put something in the middle of the table, whether it be a spore mine, and then make your harpies lone operatives, it seems I don't know, like untargetable shooting seems pretty good.
Pretty
So
good.
let's see how it
Yeah.
goes. What do you got?
All right. So I made a synaptic nexus
Ooh,
just to kind of play around with this. I'm not sure how great this is, but I think it's okay. Um, so I just took synaptic control on my hive tyrant so that he gets -1 damage. Just to keep him alive. And I have him in there for pretty much the same reason that Dickie does, because assault is really good.
yeah,
And actually, this benefits pretty much every single unit in my list.
yep,
Um, so it benefits a lot the pyrophores and the zoanthropes, which are probably the main part of my army. Um, oh, you know what? I forgot a unit in here.
yeah,
I have a unit of 3 venomthropes as well. I think venomthropes are still really
yes,
important.
they're super good. Yeah,
Yeah, venomthropes are great. So I definitely have a unit of those in there as well.
nice.
So I've got the hive tyrant, I've got a swarm lord, I've got 3 neurolictors, 3x3 pyrovores. I think pyrovores are point for
So,
point probably the
yeah, you
best
love
unit in the
them.
book.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, so 30 points a model for a twin linked flamer that ignores cover and lets the rest of your army ignore cover at what you shot at.
pretty good.
And they're d6 plus 1 shots. Fantastic. You add that into giving them assault from the hive tyrant. I mean, just even better, right?
So good.
Um, 3x6 zone throws.
Woo!
A lot of zone throws.
Holy jeez. You did not screw around with Zoe's.
No, no, yeah. So they're hanging out probably next to the psychophage, so they have a 6-up feel no pain as well.
Mhm.
And then combined with the venom thropes, you're looking at -1 to hit, and then also cover, which is pretty good.
Wow.
Well, the cover doesn't really matter. They have a 4-pin bolt. And then I've got a 3x1 Biovore. I have an exocrine to give myself a little bit more range shooting and also some reroll ones on a target that I really need to.
Mhm,
And then 10 gargoyles. And the 10 gargoyles are there to kind of fill some objective control, that kind of stuff.
mhm,
The 3 neurolictors are kind of there to be my harassment, cause some extra battle shock tests, that kind of stuff.
mhm,
Yeah, I don't know. I think this list is decent.
mhm.
um it's not perfect or anything. Obviously, it needs a lot of play testing and
Feels
stuff like that
very
to see what's good.
elite. Like, it feels
It's
like
very elite.
yeah, feels very elite.
It does have it has 21 toughness 5 3 wound models.
Yeah,
And then it also has 12 toughness 6 3 up 5 wound models as well.
okay.
So I mean, there's a lot of beef here too. So even
Yeah,
though it doesn't look like a lot of guys, it is that. And then I've got fallback and shoot on the pyrovores. The neurolictors may be helping generate a little bit of CP2 if the swarm lord eats it,
mhm,
which he probably will. Um, but yeah, I think it's got some good close combat threat. It's got some good shooting with the zone thropes and the exocrine. I think it's fine. We'll
nice.
see. I want to try it out. This is definitely a departure from what I would traditionally consider like what I would want to play in Tyranids, which is a lot more like swarmy units.
It's time
But
to
I think this
test
is
though,
cool.
buddy. It's time to
Yeah, that's
test.
that's why we got to test this stuff.
Yeah.
So I think this list is really cool. I think that there's a lot of play here. Plus, also don't forget I can make these guys all like 5-up invul save. I can give them +1 to advance, or +1
Wow.
to charge, or +1 to hit in melee. So
Armor of Contempt,
definitely
one of
play.
my bug units.
What's that?
Armor of Contempt, one of my bug units,
Heck
because
yeah.
why not?
Maybe even 2 of them.
Even two. Why not? Let's go.
Well, yeah, I got a hive tyrant.
That's so cool. That's a cool list. Okay, very cool. Oh,
So That concludes Tyranid review. Let's talk about what do we think about the Tyranid book overall, Dickie?
I will say this. So this is our first 10th edition book that we reviewed. I love the different detachments make me feel like I can play NIDS in a different way when I build an army, which is
Yep.
really good, which is going to give the book more longevity.
Yep.
In my opinion. Yeah, I think we're gonna find the best of the best, but I think we haven't really tested Vanguard out. I think Vanguard's gonna be super awesome. I think someone's gonna figure Crusher out too. So
Sure.
I think people are sleeping on Crusher. While I don't think it's as strong as the Crusher of before, I think it's still
Correct.
very strong. So I would say big bugs are scary. So I think we should be scared. And
they're relatively inexpensive for a lot of them. Like Haruspexes are 120 points,
yeah.
and they're a toughness 11, 14 wound model.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about Old One Eye and the 2 Carnifex bros
Yeah,
that he's gonna have with him. So I think
that could be graded. Well, okay, so that in Crusher, I guess it's okay, but you have to lose a whole Carnifex before you get +1 to hit.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
Yeah. But he's still
yeah.
I think it's still super awesome being able to walk at something after it shoots or after you take damage. It's just one of those really good gimmicky kind of things. So yeah,
It
I
makes
really
them
like the
so
Codex.
fast that you can't not pay attention to them if you're going to shoot them.
Yeah. 100%. I love the Codex. I'm super excited for other Codexes, but this is the first really good one for me. And I think the detachment are all unique, all fun, so I'm excited to play.
And I'll just echo that. I think really I think the detachments are great.
Yep.
I'm very excited to see what other codexes have in store for us as well.
Yep.
With the different detachments, I think that you're looking at it's a great way to kind of really make the army play thematically, while also giving some really cool benefits and it not feeling overpowered. Like I don't feel like any of the detachments are super bad or super overpowered. Like it was I think genuinely it was tough for me to pick out which one was the absolute best. Um, I thought that there was definitely some viable candidates, and I also felt like Invasion Swarm is not bad. It's still very good in this
Invasion Swarm is
codex.
still very good. So yeah. We didn't even talk about it, but like it's
no, I mean, yeah, because people have been playing with it for a while. So, but I think like nothing really, as far as I could tell, nothing changed in there. Like everything was the same. But I think it's very viable. So I think it's a great combined arms book. I think the units are very cheap, especially since they don't have the option to get transports to hide stuff. So yeah, what a fun book. Do I think it's like the most powerful book in the game or anything? No. But that's great. I'm glad it's not broken. I wouldn't want a broken book. I think this list seems really fun. And I can't wait to play it some more.
Me too. All right. See you later, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Say bye, Danny.
Oh, bye, guys. Hey, if you liked our content, click subscribe.
Yeah.
Click and like it. Give yourself a little alert for when we have new content coming out.
Yeah.
But yeah, check us out. Hopefully we'll be getting some more of these Codex reviews as more Codexes are released. Thanks to Games Workshop for sending us a copy of this Codex.
Thanks.
Really, really excited to see what the future has in store for 10th edition. Y'all have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.
See you guys. Bye.
It's time to step into the grim darkness with nerds gather talking Warhammer madness. Grim After Dark, the podcast with the hosts John, Danny, and Val, but they're not the most. Claiming to be experts, but it's all a facade. Talking about battles and dice rolls, they're all odd. Trying to sound cool with their Warhammer talk, but I'm here to expose. It's all just squawk. Nerds, everywhere I see talking Warhammer this, like it's a decree. But let me tell you, homie, it is all just a game. In the real world, homie, we are not the same. So put down the dice, step out of the dark. It's time to live life, nerd, make your own mark. Grim After Dark, the nerds playground. Talking Warhammer this, acting all profound. But when I listen, it's all just a bunch of noise. I love roasting nerds and their stupid ass toys. Stupid ass toys, I wanna grab them. put my hands around the neck. Squeeze, squeeze, Warhammer squeeze, until they can't breathe or breathe again. Tell a friend, I'm out here roasting nerds again.